What if the one thing you prayed for your entire life was the very thing God asked you to give back? This is the story of Hannah, a woman of quiet strength, deep sorrow, and unshakable faith. She had no sword, no crown, no fame. But what she had was a promise that would shape the destiny of a nation. Stay with me as we journey through the tears, the vow, the sacrifice, and the miracle that changed everything. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next inspiring Bible story. We're building a community rooted in faith, and you're invited. Long ago, in the hill country of Ephraim, lived a woman named Hannah. Her name meant grace, but her days felt more like grief. She was married to Elkanah, a man who loved her deeply, but their home was filled with sorrow, because Hannah had no children. 1 Samuel chapter 1 verse 2. Elkanah had 2 wives. One was called Hannah and the other Peninnah. Peninnah had children, but Hannah had none. In those days, a woman's worth was often tied to motherhood. And though Elkanah gave her double portions out of love, Peninnah mocked her year after year. Her barrenness wasn't just physical, it felt spiritual, like a door God himself had closed and locked. Every year they traveled to Shiloh to worship and offer sacrifices before the Lord. It should have been a holy time, a moment of renewal, but for Hannah, it was a reminder that her arms were still empty. One year, the pain became too much. 1 Samuel Psalm chapter 1 verse 10. In her deep anguish, Hannah prayed to the Lord, weeping bitterly. She slipped away from the feast, past the laughter, past the noise, and into the stillness of the tabernacle. Kneeling in silence, her lips moved, but no sound came forth. She poured out her soul. Lord Almighty, if you will only look on your servant's misery and give her a son, then I will give him to the Lord for all the days of his life. It wasn't a bargain, it was surrender. She asked for a son, not to keep, but to give away. Nearby, Eli the priest misunderstood her. He thought she was drunk, but Hannah spoke with humility. I have been pouring out my soul before the Lord. And Eli answered softly, 1 Samuel chapter 1 verse 17. Go in peace, and may the God of Israel grant you what you have asked of him. Hannah rose from prayer, and something had changed, not her circumstances yet, but her countenance. Her face no longer showed sorrow. In time, God remembered her. 1 Samuel chapter 1 verse 20. So in the course of time, Hannah became pregnant and gave birth to a son. She named him Samuel, saying, because I asked the Lord for him. Samuel, God has heard. And oh, how sweet that cry must have sounded to her ears. The boy grew, and so did Hannah's love for him, but so did her resolve. She had made a vow, and she would keep it. When Samuel was weaned, she prepared him, and herself. Wrapping him in a little robe she had sewn, she journeyed once more to Shiloh, but this time she wouldn't return with him. 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 27 to 28. I prayed for this child, and the Lord has granted me what I asked of him. So now I give him to the Lord. For his whole life he will be given over to the Lord. She kissed his head and left him in the house of God. Samuel began his life of service under Eli. He swept the floors, lit the lamps, listened to the old priest's stories. But something in Samuel was different, a quiet maturity, a hunger for God. And then, one night, then the Lord called Samuel. Samuel answered, Here I am. The voice came again and again, until finally Samuel responded, Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. That night, heaven met earth, and a prophet was born. Back in Ramah, Hannah lived her quiet life, a mother without her son. But God did not forget her. And the Lord was gracious to Hannah. She gave birth to 3 sons and 2 daughters. Her house, once empty, now overflowed with laughter. But still, every year she would return to Shiloh, with new robes, with whispered prayers, with eyes full of love. Samuel became one of Israel's greatest prophets, the voice of God in a nation of silence. And none of it would have happened without Hannah's silent prayer, her broken heart, her willing surrender. She didn't just give birth to a son, she gave birth to a legacy of obedience, of trust, of worship. What do we learn from Hannah? That God hears even the quietest cries, that our pain is never wasted in His hands, that when we surrender what we hold dearest, God can use it to change the world. Maybe today you're praying like Hannah, empty, forgotten, mocked. Don't stop praying. The God who heard Hannah hears you too. And maybe, just maybe, your story is the beginning of something greater than you could ever imagine. Because what we give to God, He multiplies. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, I'd be honored if you'd subscribe and join this growing community of faith. There are so many more stories waiting to be told. Let's discover them together.